5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's the new Panic Room. It's the show other shows want to be, and the show that authors want to be on.
Oh, the shark, babe, has such teeth there, and it shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old Maggie Heath, babe, and it keeps it out of sight. You know when that shark bites with its teeth, babe, scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy gloves, though, wears old Maggie Heath, babe, so there's never a trace of red. Now on the sidewalk, ooh, Sunday morning, lies a body just oozing life. And someone sneaking round a corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife? There's a tugboat down by the river, don't you know, where a cement bag just drooping on down. Oh, that cement is just, it's there for the weight to dare. 5 will get you 10 old Mackies back in town. Got to hear about Louis Miller. He disappeared, babe, after drawing out all his hard-earned cash. And now Maggie Heath spends just like a sailor. Could it be our boy's done something rash? Yeah, to the tawdry. Ooh, Miss Lottie Lenya and old Lucy Brown. Oh, the line forms on the right, babe. Now that Maggie's back in town. I said, Jenny Diver, whoa, Suki Tawdry, look out to Miss Lottie Lenya and old Lucy Brown. If that line forms on the right, babe, now that Maggie's back in town. Look out, old Maggie is back.
The all-new Panic Room radio show is brought to you by hellboundbooks.com.
Well, good evening. It is the new Panic Room episode 113, which is astounding, really, isn't it? So it is. It's a Thursday, I'm guessing, because obviously if it's not a Thursday, it's just me talking to myself, which is a bit odd, really. And it is 9:30 Central, and welcome to the show. And it's been a week, I have to say, and it has. I've struggled this week. There's been a lot of things going on, and but I think mostly of all, I've missed my old friend, because we don't speak during the week. This is the only time we actually get to catch up. So I'm going to bring her on now. I usually sort of don't, because she bores me, but I'm going to bring her on now. So here we go. Here's Xtina. Well, hello.
I bore you, do I?
You know, you do. You go about
That's
baseball
not very nice.
and whatnot.
Oh, my God. I'm going to be quiet. Okay.
Yeah, have a drink. Have a drink.
Well, you know,
so
okay.
it's all going on this week. Yeah. Obviously, we've got the whole Kavanaugh thing going on, and that's
God.
sort of. It's funny. 1 minute he thinks he's a shoo-in for the Supreme Court. Next minute he's getting accused of all sorts of nonsense. And
you know,
whatnot.
this is the only time I get to catch up on anything political. So, yeah, I really have no idea what's going on. I really seriously don't. I've heard that name, you know, and
yeah. Well, long
but
story
that's
short, the Supreme Court, which I think is manned by dinosaurs. They're all sort of, they have to be nominated by a president, and obviously Trump's put his own chap in. And of course, being of the Trump camp, you know, he's obviously dodgy as fuck. And as part of his, they give them, you know, they question them, and it's quite brutal questioning to make sure they're, you know, strong moral fibre, etc. And suddenly all these women are sort of popping out of the woodwork saying that he sexually assaulted them years ago. And I think the upsetting, I mean, you know, I'm a bloke, you know, and I like the ladies, you know, there's a bit of a ladies' man in my time. And yet, you know, they're saying, oh, you know, they're throwing the argument in, the excuse that, oh, it was all drunken behaviour, you know. Now, I've been blackout drunk before, a few times in my life, and I used to love to drink, you know, not as much now, but I used to, you know, part of the job I used to do was, a lot of it was socialising and drinking and whatnot. But I never forced myself on anyone. You know, it would never have occurred to me. But then again, you look at, I mean, Trump, grab him by the pussy, Trump, you know, and if that's the general attitude and he doesn't think it's wrong, then, you know, this is what we've got. And bearing in mind, this is in the same week that Bill Cosby was sentenced to 10 years. I mean, bearing in mind the guy is, 81? You know, he's not going to see daylight again, to be honest.
No.
You know, plus I think that the most upsetting thing about Cosby as well, of course, is I remember him from the Cosby Show back in the day. It was a big hit over in the UK, and it's ruined so many childhoods. You know, people grew up with the Cosby family.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, all the time you sit watching Cosby, good wholesome family TV, and he was off, you know, drugging women and raping them, and it's you know, it's not conducive to a family show.
Nope, not at all. But
to be honest,
yeah. So this
but
week,
I don't know. I mean, it's just, you know, again, you get the you know, the Trump camp and all the Trump supporters who, to be fair, would vote for him if he broke into the house and, you know, boned their sister. He really would. And they're just making it, oh, you know, boys will be boys and whatnot, and it's just no. And then they blame the women, you know, and that sickens me. I mean, I'm a father as well. I'm a father of 2 daughters, so I have that going on as well. I can look at it from that point of view. And the whole, you know, she wore a short skirt and, you know, she had a bit too much to drink and all the rest of it. That is no excuse. Seriously.
No, it's really not.
No, there is no excuse. I say I'm on my high horse now, obviously. No excuse. And this is from a man's point of view. You know, I'm not some raging feminist. You know, I'm a human being. I'm a man. I'm a, you know, a father and all the rest of it. And it's, I don't know, there's no excuse. Unless I'm missing something.
No, I don't think, no.
I mean, there's that case of that student, I think it was last year, who they caught him having sex with another. She was passed out drunk, you know, behind a dumpster. Wow. You know, and they say romance is dead, you know. And he got off with it, literally a slap on the wrist because he was white, he was privileged, etc., etc. But what made him think that was a good idea? Really?
Yeah, I don't even know. I think these are dark days we're living in, and I don't see it getting any better. I really don't. And that's scary, you know, for people who have kids, for people who are thinking about having children, it's frightening. It is.
Yes, it is, and obviously those of us that do have children, you know, what sort of world are we bringing them into? I mean, you know, my son's pretty worldly wise anyway. My daughter, you know, and sadly having to now educate her in the ways, literally don't trust anyone, and there are, because she's one of these, she will talk to anyone, literally, she's so gregarious, and it's just like, well, don't, she's I'm just talking to some friend online and whatever. I put a stop to a lot of that now. She sent me a picture, and well, it could be a perverted old man
from New Jersey.
Got a picture of a young girl from anywhere, and sent, just trust no one.
Yeah, I do remember
she's going to go for as cynical as I am, but if it keeps her safe, then fine.
Exactly.
I'm good.
Yeah,
anyway, just to we've got a little bit heavy there.
We keep going,
This is supposed to be fun and educational. I have to say, Trump's latest faux pas at the UN conference. I'm gonna play it. I can't not.
In less than 2 years, my administration has accomplished more than almost any administration in the history of our country. America's so true. Didn't expect that reaction, but that's okay.
What planet is this guy on? Seriously.
I don't know, but
on what planet? He just
entertainment purposes.
He's a classic narcissistic compulsive liar, in so much as he believes if he says something enough, it's true.
Yeah.
The administration has not done better than any other administration. Everything is bigger and better with this guy, except his penis, apparently, which is like a small mushroom. Or a small, even worse actually than a small mushroom. It's like a small mushroom cartoon character from a video game, which is probably not better.
Popping up, or just awful.
It's just, it is. It's true, but it's so deluded. It's just, it was funny, but it's not now.
Right. No, I just view it as a. Is comedy almost. It's like we're watching a reality show that's just gone terribly wrong. That's it.
If it was a comedy, it would be great. It would be compulsive viewing, but it's gone beyond the realms of any comedy.
Exactly. If it were a TV show, it would be like a spoof, and it would be like, people would be like, oh my gosh, that would never happen. And the bad thing is it is happening, and we're watching it. I
think that's the scare. Yes, you're right. That is the frightening thing. And this guy has his finger on the button. I mean, he's started this trade war with China, which he hasn't got a hope in hell of winning. I mean, China is a massive. It's probably I would dare say the biggest global economy now, or if not, it's getting there, and, for years people said, China's going to come up the ranks, and they're doing it, and you don't piss the Chinese off, or the Russians for that matter, but certainly not China. And I'm bearing in mind that China's, there's a lot of Chinese money in America. Mm-hmm. Where do you think he gets the money from to raise the debt ceiling? Well, so let's start. And obviously, having sat through Star Wars, people should know, the damage a trade war can do. That's what started Star Wars off.
I'm not going to say anything because I'm not familiar with Star Wars. Go ahead and mute me or whatever. I don't know. I watched
to be fair, it was only really that was revealed in the three prequels that Lucas did, which were not that good, to be honest with you. But it was.
The only one I ever saw was
down to trade wars and whatnot. And Trump's doing this, reliving Star. He's recreating Star. He'll be building a Death Star next. When he's finished with the wall, he said, "I'm going to build a Death Star," and Mexico is going to pay for it. Go, thoughts and prayers, Donald. Thoughts and prayers. Anywho. we have a show tonight, I presume.
We do. I'm really excited. We have. Is this where I announce the guest, or are you gonna? Yeah. Okay. We have creator and host of the Dark Dreamers television series and returning guest he's been on before, Stanley Wiater. Woo!
Awesome. Oh,
I
sorry,
know.
was I supposed to
like to
cue him in there, or you just, we were just chatting?
I don't know.
We were just chatting.
I just like to woo afterwards. I get excited.
You do that little woo, don't you?
Every time,
we have
I do.
Our, studio crew here to do that for you now. So. But hey, if you want to have a little woo, you have a little woo.
I will.
That's what I'd say. Anywho, I think we should. I think now you've introduced him properly, and we will bring Stanley on. Off you go.
I have to do it again? Okay.
Yes, you do.
So how about,
yes.
Okay. Do I do the whole thing or just his name?
All of it. From the beginning.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay, we have creator and host of the Dark Dreamers television series, returning guest Stanley Wiater. Woo!
Good evening, Stanley. Are you there, sir?
Good. I am here.
Yay!
Awesome. So, I mean, you obviously got introduction twice, which is fantastic. How are you this evening, sir?
I am fine. You've been cheering me up for the last 15 minutes. I thought I would have a bad day.
I'm so sorry.
Cheered me up.
Yeah.
I just got to step off the stool and all my problems will be solved. Thanks.
Yeah, I speak often of like walking into oncoming traffic or something, but we'd have to keep our chins up. We do.
Yes, the good news is that Donald Trump will be our last president.
Oh God.
I have, I've said that before. Yeah, he will be sadly the last president of this country, which is scary when you think about it.
Yeah. Definitely. Yikes. I know. I don't even know where to go now.
Well, we could all go out for a beer.
We should.
Like beer? I like beer.
Beer, wine, it doesn't really matter at this point, I don't think. A couple shots would do. Just as long as we were drinking, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Stanley, you're here to talk to us about Dark Dreamers.
Well, yes, I'm still involved in that world, and I'm pleased to say that 3 of my interview books, Dark Visions, Dark Dreamers, and Dark Dreamers on Writing, just got re-released as ebooks from Crossroad Press. I'm very pleased with the way they were presented, and my daughter actually did the cover artwork for 2 out of the 3 books.
Oh, wow.
So even after 10 and 20 years, the books are still in print, and for the bargain price of $3.98, how can you go wrong?
Seriously, you can. I think that's even cheaper than some copies you can get at Starbucks or something, so you definitely can't go wrong with that. Tell us a little bit about Dark Dreamers.
Well, as you know, I started my career as a freelance writer. I actually spent my entire 40-year career as a freelance writer. And when I had the opportunity in the 80s to interview folks like Stephen King and Peter Straub and Clive Barker, I grabbed for it. And at the same time, Fangoria magazine came about in the 80s. And starting with issue 6, I started doing interviews and profiles and book reviews for Fangoria. And then from there, I did the logical thing. I took the interviews from Fangoria magazine and other publications and got those wrapped up into various book deals. Then after I did the various book deals, I did the television show for 2 seasons from 2000 to 2001, and then did the logical thing later on, made them into a DVD, which you can get from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other places. And, of course, there's a YouTube channel called Dark Dreamers where you can see part of the series for free on YouTube. So my fingerprints are still in the genre. Even though I'm officially retired, from doing new work. I'm doing my best to keep the things that I have done in the past from rotting and falling to pieces.
Right. I actually looked up, and I've done it a few times now, the Dark Dreamers, the channel on YouTube, and it is so cool. You're sitting on Clive Barker's couch, and you're talking to him. That is super cool. Did you have an episode with Stephen King? I didn't see that one, or
No, I didn't actually. The idea we were going to get to him in the third season, and unfortunately, that the series was independently produced. The show was canceled before we got to a third season. But we did get to Peter Straub, and Peter Straub was going to be the kind of the lead into Stephen King because of their collaborations with the Talisman.
Right, right. No, I think the last time you were on, I asked this question, and who is your favorite? Who, if you had to.
You can't ask him that.
Yes, you can. Come on now.
That's totally unfair. Totally unfair.
No, but I guess
I'll tell you this, guys. A lot of people have told me, which gets me off the hook, that the Harlan Ellison interview was what was the best, or one of the best they'd ever seen with Harlan Ellison. And,
wow, I will have to take a look at that.
And we spent the day and evening with him, and everybody who was in any of my books, any of my television episodes, always did it for free, because A, they either appreciated the exposure, or B, they knew I was going to give them a fair shake. And Harlan Ellison had been a friend for many, many years. I had interviewed him many times for different publications, and all he asked for was $1,000 for his time. And I said, Harlan Ellison, I said, I love you, but I said, I don't pay for interviews. And he said, Wiater, I love you, but I ain't giving you an interview unless I get $1,000. Because the television crew was there. We were ready to go in his front door. And I said, Harlan, I'll be glad to take my credit card and pay you $1,000. And he looked at the producer standing next to me. He says, Wiater, I don't want your money. I want his money.
Oh, wow.
He says, I'm going to give you a great performance. And he says, I'm a registered SAG talent, Screen Actors Guild. And he said, I should be paid for my time. And since we were all there with, as they said in the Wild Bunch, a thumb up our ass and a grin on our face, we really didn't have much leverage to tell Harlan where to go. And we were the folks begging at his doorstep to get in. So he agreed to the interview. He agreed to have makeup put on his face. And the next day, the producer, by overnight mail, sent him a bank check for $1,000. And I told him I would never reveal this till after he was deceased. But he's the only person in my entire career that was ever paid to be interviewed. And as I say, I didn't physically pay him, but he was paid. And the performance that he gave, a lot of people just thought it was a stellar performance by Harlan, not even knowing that he sat there and said, I'm getting paid, for my time to do this. So now that the poor man has passed on, I can freely tell that story.
Now, with, me asking, I guess it's inappropriate to ask who is your favorite, but here's a good one, I think, because, we talk a lot with horror authors that come on the show, and occasionally we have even extreme horror authors, and we've had a couple of them on the show that when I hear their excerpt or, anything about their books, they I don't know about scare me. I don't know if scare me is the right term, but they maybe intimidate a little bit. I'm just thinking, wow, this guy is, kind of scary. So, with all the horror authors that you've spoken to, who was the creepiest? Come on, there's got to be some creepy ones in there. Were there any creepy ones?
Well, you're talking about extreme horror. Back in the day, David Scow, who was a creepy guy to a certain extent, coined the term splatterpunks. So you had Chip and Spector were a famous writing team in the 80s and 90s. And they weren't creepy so much as that they weren't like writers. They were more like goth rock stars. And it was the same with David Scow. They dressed all in black. They dressed all in leather. They all played punk music, loved punk music. They would watch those sick puppy movies that would come from Japan. And say creepy is a strong word to push, but they certainly didn't act and look like Peter Straub or Ramsey Campbell.
Yeah. I know that we've talked about it a little bit on the show, and with some of the horror writers that we do have, okay, there's the creepy ones that like the extreme horror. A couple of them have, there's even times where I don't say a whole lot because I'm like, wow, this, some of the stuff they write about. But for the most part, I find that the horror authors are so well adjusted, and we've talked about the fact that it's because they can write about death and gore and blood that they get it out of them, and it's almost like a getting out the poison or something, that they're so, they're so cool and they're so down to earth. Even James, oh my goodness, I read some stuff of his.
Have you read James?
Yeah,
I'm still here,
I know. I read, some of your stuff. I read, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gruesome, and I can feel it. And he's like the coolest guy. He's like the most down to earth and normal, and I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, and I do find that, as opposed to some of the other authors that we have that just are, kind of a little bit messed up. But, I think you need to write about killing somebody every so often. I think
you're fine. I mean, Stanley probably backed me up. So the more extreme the authors, and we've found this too, the nicer they are.
Yeah.
We've spoken to David Owain Hughes. As you know, I'm a big fan. He writes some really grim and gruesome stuff, and he's a lovely fella. It's just Joe Willie. I mean, Joe Willie's written a book that we're actually struggling to get audio book recorded for it because of the content, and he's a genuine nice guy, And it's maybe you're right, because it's all the nastiness is written out of these people that we can just be jolly good chaps.
Yeah, well, the one who comes to mind for me is Tim Miller. He did some, extreme horror. And, what is the first time he was on the show, he was talking about the book he wrote, Rape Van. And I just remember going, oh, my gosh. And, no, he is so cool. He, you could just sit down and have a beer with him. And, pretty awesome. The more extreme or the more creepy they write, it does seem like the more well-adjusted they are. Yeah.
Yes.
Or it could be, the more well-adjusted we appear to be.
Ooh, that's good. Now I'm a little nervous.
So you should be.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, James, I believe you worked with Jack Ketchum once upon a time, and I thought he was a delightful, loving human being. He loved cats. He was never married, never had kids, but enjoyed wine, woman, and song to the nth degree. And I've never seen a happier human being. But for someone has just given one of his books, especially Off Season or The Girl Next Door, those books you can barely get through because they're so unrelentingly creepy and violent. And you can't believe that.
I mean, The Girl Next Door is probably one of my, again, we use the word loose, one of my favourite books. It's so incredibly, and the movie they made from it was pretty good as well, but the book was so visceral and disturbing, but so incredibly well written. And the fact that it was based on a true story probably helped as well. But that's probably one of the 3 or 4 absolute favourite books. Probably one of the few that I've ever read twice. I'm not one for reading books more than once, but and it absolutely heart-wrenching book.
Yes, it's in my top 10, and it's the first one I steer people to when they say, I've never heard of Jack Ketchum, or I would like to try Jack Ketchum, and I say, the girl next door will stick in the back of your mind for the rest of your life, especially if you're a man. It'll just stick back there.
Mm.
It does. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And I didn't know him very well at all, but we did exchange some emails. He was going to come on the show, and the first time that I emailed him, and he emailed back, I was like, oh my God, Jack Ketchum is emailing me back. I mean, I was starstruck. And I kind of thought he was going to be, I'm Jack Ketchum. And no, he was so nice and so sweet. And I wish that we could have had him on. I really do. He was great. He was so nice. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
But a perfect example of what we were talking about is someone who writes horrendous, dark and violent fiction, and yet I couldn't think of a nicer person that I've ever met in my whole life than Dallas Mark. Yeah.
Well, we have a clip that we're going to play on the show of one of the episodes of Dark Dreamers. Do we have the clip ready, James?
We do, and I have to say this is the clip with Clive Barker, who is a big idol of mine. I mean, I'd love to get Clive on the show. I mean, I remember I remember reading the Books of Blood. Back in the late 80s. When I just picked them up, I just browsing the bookstore, and they look good. I have those. Absolutely changed me certainly as a because I was writing back even then, and they actually stopped me writing for quite a long time because I could never. I could never even hope to equal this, because it was just so different, it's so incredibly well written. The ideas were just so unique that it was just blew me away, So I'm excited to hear this. So do we need an introduction for this, Stanley, or can we just go straight into it?
I believe we can go straight into it.
Okay, let's do it. Here we go.
Are you a dark dreamer? It is said that to best enjoy the light, you must first explore the heart and soul of the darkness. We are the artists who create in the shadows, whose dreams are designed to become your reality. I'm Stanley Wiater. Welcome to my world of the dark fantastic. Welcome to the world of dark dreamers. Are you a dark dreamer? Clive Barker most definitely is. Born in Liverpool, England in 1952, Clive Barker is acclaimed internationally as a true Renaissance man of horror and fantasy, or to use a term Barker himself prefers, the fantastique. After first bursting upon the scene in the mid-'80s with the collections of short stories entitled Clive Barker's Books of Blood, Barker then moved into the realm of epic horror and dark fantasy with such early bestsellers as The Damnation Game and Weave World. His distinctive writings have enjoyed the rare success of achieving popular acceptance as well as a worldwide cult following. But the printed page has never been enough to express all the dark dreams of Clive Barker. In 1987, he wrote and directed the unforgettable Hellraiser, which might best be described as a supernatural erotic thriller. Like so many concepts of Barker's, which cannot be fully contained in a single film, Hellraiser has spawned an ongoing series of sequels. Clive also wrote and directed Nightbreed in 1990 and Lord of Illusions in 1995, both based on his own novellas. Clive recently invited us to his home in Beverly Hills, California, taking a brief respite from a work schedule that would be daunting for 3 individuals. For besides being a best-selling author, the man is also an accomplished artist. The day after his 48th birthday, we sat down in his studio to discuss what drives the man to work so hard to illuminate the darkness. Clive, if we were to get a business card from you, besides the obvious name of Clive Barker, what do you think it would say for occupation?
Imaginer. Professional imaginer, I think, is what I would like if I had to have a business card. I've done so many different kinds of things, but the common thread has always been the imagination. So whether it's been working in theater or painting, film, obviously, novels, poetry even, it's the imaginative element which I hope distinguishes the Clive Barker work. So yeah, imaginer would go on the card. Well, I feel as though I've been given a task, if you will, by God, to create the images that I see in my mind's eye, that I see in my dreams, in the most concrete and the most elegant fashion that I possibly can. Very often the challenge is to see which medium those images belong in. That's the first question. You know, is this a movie? Is this a book?
Is it a comic book? Is it a painting?
Yes, exactly. Having figured that out, then the challenge becomes, well, how urgent is it for me to speak this? You know, I'm usually backed up 4 or 5 projects. Where does this fit? Sometimes something comes along so urgently, a painting particularly, that you just have to drop everything and just go do it. A book, you know, I'm finishing up on a book right now. It's taken 14 months, which is middle range book for me, you know. I mean, I've had obviously written much shorter books, but I've written longer things too. And you have to plan that. You have to, it's a long distance approach to a book that's going to take 14 months of your life. Same with a movie. I mean, a movie, perhaps of all the media we're talking about here, a movie is the thing which consumes you utterly. There is nothing else that you can do when you're making a movie, which is one of the reasons why I make so few of them, and one of the reasons why I'm looking very seriously at whether I will make any more as a director. I was 48 yesterday. I think it's a young man's game to get up early in the morning and go direct pictures. I want to produce a lot. I have 5 pictures I'm supposed to be producing or executive producing next year, which is a hefty load. And even though 2 of those are CGI pictures and therefore have long development processes, nevertheless, I'm very intimately tied into their life. And so even though there are a lot of producers in this town who sort of have their name on the movies and really don't have anything to do with them, I'm not one of those guys. I like to be involved. I like to have a hands-on connection with the pictures. I don't have a career, I think. The word career doesn't really connect to me. I don't know. A career implies some grand ambition. Career actually implies fiscal ambition more than anything else, I think, which has never been a major part of my planning. I don't think of myself as having a career. I think of myself as having a life in the imagination, living in the imagination.
Career is also finite. People say, well, I put in my 30 years or my 10 years and made my money and I retired from my
That's exactly
career.
Right. I'm not anticipating death will stop me. I fully anticipate continuing to make movies after death. I'm joking.
No.
I'm obsessed with the process of making stories and making images. It's just everything in my body and mind is conspiring to work that way. It's Faulkner's life that's believed, or Hemingway's life that's believed, rather than like the guy like, let's take an example of somebody we both know, Stephen King, who gets up on a Monday morning and writes and works and produces 2 books a year and has been doing so for 25 years very successfully, are presumably not cradling a whiskey at 10 in the morning or indeed a shotgun. There's nothing that gets between me and the art except sex. That is not a bad habit. That is a good habit.
It's also an art.
It can be.
If done well.
Caught on a Monday morning, it may just be a craft.
That was brilliant.
Awesome. Awesome.
We are back. That was great. I could listen to that all night. Yeah, I say, big fan of Clive. He's just, there's not much he hasn't done, I guess.
He's done everything. He's done it all.
Yeah. I mean, I like you said, the Books of Blood had a profound effect on me, and Hellraiser as well. I remember, I think I saw Hellraiser after I started Books of Blood. That's what got me onto it. And again, it was just even now, it stands up as well now as it did back in 87 that came out.
Wow.
It's still again, because I think the beauty of Clive was it's so unique, so just different, suddenly just different. It's certainly coming on the back end of the 80s when we'd had all the the video nasties, and they were all much the same as zombie films and your vampire and and suddenly Hellraiser popped up and Books of Blood popped up, and it was just like it's a breath of fresh air for the whole industry, which was fantastic.
Yeah, when you said it stands up, because it was so long ago, I agree with you. And just because it wasn't too long ago that I saw it for the first time, and it was really good. But I remember Nightbreed from I don't even know how long ago I saw that, and again, it was just so weird, but it was good. I mean, it was very, very. I couldn't take my eyes off of it, even though I was so creeped out by so many different.
I read somewhere that I believe there are plans to make a TV series of Nightbreed.
Oh wow!
So,
wow!
I did as well. Yes, let's hope.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they keep churning. I saw the most recent Hellraiser movie a few months ago, and it was okay actually. Some of the sequels have been pretty bad, but they stood up. I enjoyed it. It was good. It was back to basics. Back to the Stanley mentioned, sort of the eroticism was back in it, and it was very fetishistic, and it worked. It was good. It was good. I mean, to be fair, people slate a lot of them, and there's only a couple that I would say are iffy, I'm probably one of the few people that actually like Hellraiser 3, I think.
And one of the interesting things about Clive, when he's doing his work, a lot of people aren't aware that he writes his first drafts in longhand. And as many folks know, he's written 500, 600-page novels. Ramsey Campbell writes a lot of his work in longhand for first drafts, and I just find that staggering to think that people would be able to just physically, write a 500 or 800-page manuscript in longhand and then type it up themselves or hire someone to type up that draft.
Yeah, I couldn't. No. If I did, I then would not be able to read it. I can write a shopping list and get to the store, and I'm stood there in the store. What is that? What the hell? And there's been things in the past that I've come, it's not, this item's not been crossed out because I don't know what it was. And clearly it wasn't something I really, really needed. I've walked out the store with whatever. But just to write that, it's whatever the process is. We get we speak to a lot of upcoming writers and people who want to be writers, and everyone. They all seem to want that magic formula, and I've said to so many, look, the secret is that there isn't a magic formula. Everybody has their own process. You can, write it long, however you do it, whatever works for you.
Yeah.
There's no hardly if you do. Even Stephen King in his book on writing, which is a terrific book, and he states in several places, this is not me telling you how to write. This is me telling you how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I do it, and what works for you, might not work for me, etc. But, we do. We see a lot of these young books, and they're just wanting that quick, that quick turnaround. I'll bang a book out and I'll be a millionaire in 2 weeks. And it ain't like that. It is not like that.
Stanley, we have to take a quick break, a couple commercials there, and don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back after the break with you, okay?
Okay, looking forward to seeing you again.
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back after this word from our sponsors.
Radio Show is sponsored by Hellbound Books, purveyors of all manner of dark fiction. You can find the publisher along with links to all their available works across platforms at hellboundbookspublishing.com. Hellbound Books is proud to be the first in the indie publishing business with their very own app on both Google Play and the App Store. In the mood for something steamy to read, check out new erotica author Jennifer Lynn's website at jenniferlynnerotica.com. You can find James at his website, www.jameslongmore.com, and Xtina has an author page found on the Hellbound website. Don't forget to follow the Panic Room Radio Show on social media. Our Facebook page, Unofficial The Panic Room Radio Show, Twitter at Panic Room Radio, our YouTube channel, The New Panic Room Radio Show, and come visit our website at www.panicroomradio.com.
Somewhere waiting for me, my lover stands on golden sand and watches the ships that go sailing. Somewhere beyond the sea, she's there watching for me. If I could fly like birds on high, then straight to her arms I'd go sailing. It's far beyond the star, it's near beyond the moon. I know beyond a doubt my heart will lead me there soon. Beyond the shore, we'll kiss just as before. Happy we'll be beyond the sea, and never again I'll go sailing.
Welcome back to part 2.
And we're back with Stanley Wiater. Sorry, do apologise. And I think Xtina's there, unless she's drunk and fallen over again. Are you there, Xtina?
I am
yes,
here.
What?
Yeah. Not drunk yet. I mean, there's still time,
Not
though.
drunk yet.
There's always
exactly.
time.
There's always time. I mean, something I wanted to ask Stanley. Obviously, you interviewed all these, megastars, I guess, of the horror world. I mean, do you ever get starstruck? Do you ever, get the old butterflies and tongue-tied?
Not really, no. I've been a journalist for my entire career, so before I got into the horror business per se as a specialty, I was interviewing celebrities, musicians, actors, that sort of thing in Massachusetts when people would come to do theater or shoot a film. Bo Derek came to make a movie 30 miles from where I lived, and at that time she had just done the movie 10. So she was one of the biggest name actress in the world, and maybe then I was a little starstruck, but for the most part, interviewing people has always been my forte. And as I tell people, when I first met Stephen King back in '79, he was just a struggling millionaire. So, it didn't really affect me that much to be starstruck by spending several hours in a bar interviewing him.
Awesome.
It's the same with Clive Barker. When I visited him in Beverly Hills to do the interview for the TV show, he had bought two mansions side by side in Beverly Hills. One was to live in, to have his bedroom in, and the other mansion was just to work in as a painter and a director. So how can anybody be starstruck by people who live in these boring, mundane lifestyles?
I don't know.
That is just the epitome of rich, isn't it? I bought the mansion next door just to put my work stuff in. That's great. That is great.
Yeah.
I remember there was a TV show. I don't know if you guys ever saw it over here. It's a science fiction comedy show called Red Dwarf. They just brought it back, actually. They've just done another new season, I think back end of last year. And they had the plot line where one guy became so incredibly wealthy that he bought Buckingham Palace and ground it up to make his driveway. And you hear like you say stories like that, and it's a whole different world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind having a piece of, to be honest, but we can dream. We can dream.
Yes, when I interviewed Wes Craven in his home in Beverly Hills, it was a house, of course, on the top of a hill, and it's beautiful, modern style, with glass walls, floor to ceiling glass walls to look out on the valleys. And I said, "You got a beautiful house." He says, "Yeah." He says, "I bought it from Steve McQueen's estate." He says, "It used to be Steve McQueen's house." I said, "Oh, yeah, a nobody like Steve McQueen. That's nice. He must have gotten a good deal on it."
But I guess, I mean, you live there. I know people who live over in LA now, and they say you just be sat there and having a coffee, Arnold Schwarzenegger will just walk by, and it's just Sylvester Stallone will pop in to get a coffee to take out, and it's just like, I guess, they've got to live somewhere, I suppose. They've got to do everyday things, and it must just be. Again, the people I know, they say you just get used to it. You don't go all, oh, girl, there's Colin Farrell over there. It's just like, they're just like any Joe Soap you meet in the street, which is, like I say, it must be just like living permanently in a movie. These all-star movies that they churn out every now and then.
In the little town that I lived in Florida, John Travolta lived in that little town. Did I ever see him? Never, not once. But I know. But he has airplanes and whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So like every single weekend, and early too. Oh my gosh, was it early? You would hear this airplane, and it would be doing tricks and stuff. And I just remember and who knows? I mean, who knows? It could have been anybody. But in my mind, it was John Travolta. And every single weekend, when it was like 8:00 in the morning, to me that's like the middle of the night. And you'd hear the airplane doing the tricks. I would curse out John Travolta every single weekend. Like, why, John? Why? So.
And it probably wasn't him, you know that.
I know, probably wasn't, but it was still fun to pretend like it was him and to curse him out. But
but again, he's got his own. I think it's 747 he's got, and he actually does fly to keep his flying hours up. He will actually do commercial flights. There's people been just going on vacation, whatever, and this is your Captain John Travolta, What?
That's kind of cool.
True. Like any other pilot, he has to get so many flying hours in. So I guess that's how he does that. Pretty awesome. So just own your own. I'm going to go buy myself a 747. I was just like, okay. I wouldn't even know where to go to buy one. I don't know if it's like a store somewhere you go buy one, or eBay possibly. Probably get one on eBay.
Everything, yeah, exactly. Everything is on eBay. It is.
Amazon. The commercial aircraft section on Amazon. There's nothing that they don't do on Amazon. Nothing you can't buy at all.
Just for that, I'm going to have to go surfing and see if there's anything I can't find on there.
Yeah, there's a challenge for you.
Yeah. Ice cream. Can you get ice cream on Amazon? I mean, how would they get it to you?
Yeah, I think you can buy food. Yeah.
They'd ship it in dry ice.
Okay, fine.
No, you can buy food. Yeah. There you go.
So, Stanley, what are you working on now?
Well, as I said, I'm officially retired, but I do interviews still, which is nice, and I'm actually appearing in 2 new studies of Stephen King. One is by Stephen J. Spagnuolo called Stephen King, American Master. And it's a study of obviously Stephen King and the contributions he's made to American literature over the year. And I've done a short essay for the book entitled 13 Books to Take on a Desert Island by Stephen King. So that's the whole premise. And if you were stuck on an island and you could only have 13 books, which would they be? The other one I was interviewed for is called Perspectives on Stephen King by Andrew Rauch, another Stephen King expert, and that's going to appear in November. So for that I was interviewed. So as I say, it's still nice for folks like you to think of me, and I keep my hand in by having the interviews appear and the occasional article appear. Plus, I started last October a new website called Dark Dreamers, and is basically just to promote the entire genre. Obviously, I promote myself to some extent, but I've invited professional dark dreamers to come in and be a part of it. I think, Xtina, you are a part of it.
I am.
I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I am. And you were talking about the 13 books of Stephen King's that you take on an island. And can you tell me like one of them, like maybe the number one or something?
My number one, and they were not in any specific order, but my number one would be one we just mentioned earlier, would be Stephen King on the Craft of Writing. If I was stuck on a desert island, how quickly would it take to read through 13 novels, even Stephen King's novels, which would be 1,000 pages sometimes. But the idea to have him there to inspire you to write, I think, makes it crucial that on any list of having Stephen King that you must read before you die, it would be On the Craft of Writing.
That would be a good one. I think definitely for me, one of the ones that I would take was, and it's a short one. It's a very short one, but I still love it. The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I just absolutely adore that book, and to me, I could just see it so clearly. Everything that was so cool to me was that I could see, what was going on, and I could almost feel it. So that would definitely be, and of course, I love baseball, so that's another, good reason for me to take that book. So that would be on my list. What about you, James? What would the Stephen King book that you would take with you?
I think I'd be a toss-up for me. I think my favourite Stephen King book was Salem's Lot. But I enjoyed it a lot. Again, probably because I'm such a fast reader, I do tend to, even now, I'll pick books based on how thick they are. So I think it would probably, probably win because it's thicker.
Under the Dome was crazy thick.
Under the Dome was pretty damn huge as well. But I thought I think it's probably, as I say, that between that and Salem's Lot, my favourite King book. So maybe just tuck Salem's Lot inside it, and sneak it in.
Yeah.
I know that when I was younger, that's how I picked out books was, the thicker, the more pages, that's what I would pick out.
Yeah.
And I read Under the Dome in paperback, and oh my gosh, that thing was heavy. It really was, and it was good. It was good. Except for the end, I was not a fan of the ending. It, to me, felt a little too, it felt like, he just got to a point where even he was tired of the book and was like, okay, I just have to get this over with or something.
Yeah,
that's kind of like what it felt like me. Yeah.
But as I often said about Stephen King, is a lot of the time it's not, the end. It's not how the book. It's getting. It's not it. I mean, the end was okay, but the backstories of the characters and all the rest of it was just so. Carried you along, just drew you into their world. It was so incredibly well done. So the ending could have been, bad, but it didn't matter. And I love that.
Yeah. He's definitely
that needs to have the fantastic twist and all that. Oh, didn't see that coming. You don't need that.
Mm-hmm. You know what I've noticed, and I can say the same with both Stephen King and Dean Koontz. I'm a fair fan of Dean Koontz, not as huge or anything, but I really appreciate. I really liked a bunch of his books, but it seems like the older stuff is so gruesome. I guess I want to say, and then they get to a point where it seemed like they kind of mellowed out a little bit, and they the books weren't quite as gruesome, but more. I don't know what the word is, what I want, but it definitely, some of the older stuff, we have Carrie and The Shining, and they were just so, oh my gosh, and then, and then I remember, what was that one? Oh gosh, I can see the cover of it, and it was, I don't remember, but, they definitely, both of them got to a point I think in their writing career where they're not as gruesome anymore, and they definitely mellowed out, and I almost liked those books better than, when they were so disturbing. That's a good word, disturbing.
I like my disturbing. Again,
I know you do.
Clive's early books were incredible, and then he sort of became more fantastical as he sort of developed his career. But I was still brilliant books. But I can't. Maybe that James Herbert went the same way. He started off with the Rats, and he was known for being, like the sort of the father of British splatterpunk in many ways. But he went more along the lines of ghosts and spiritual things and whatnot, and sort of veered away from the. Some of his early stuff was so violent and gruesome. As young kids reading that stuff was brilliant.
But I think a large part of the the writers, when they're so-called gruesome writers or extreme writers, is early in their careers, because you hear that term over the ages, the angry young writer. I think a lot of young writers are they're starving. They haven't experienced a lot of life. They've probably been traumatized at some point in their life, and they're struggling to make their voices heard above the rest of the people in the genre. And then after they become financially successful and have a family and raise a family and age to quote-unquote middle age, I think a lot of that anger in many cases just simply dissipates. And they really can't go back to writing terrifying stories. If you read Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, to me it has almost none of the power to frighten or to shock that The Shining has. The Shining is on my list of 13 books to take on a desert island, because when I was reading that book, having known very little about it, reading it in hardcover, I literally at one point threw it across the room because I was too scared to read any further. That's when he was, when Danny was approaching room 217. But you read Dr. Sleep, and now Stephen King is worth, $300-400 million, and every book he's had has been an international success. He's won every major award. What does Stephen King have to, quote unquote, prove to anybody? Yeah. And so when I read Dr. Sleep, I said, my God, where's the tension? Where's the suspense? King is just naturally assuming you've read The Shining, you've read his books, and you're just going to go with him because he, quote unquote, felt like it was time to do a sequel to The Shining. Nobody was asking for it. The Shining is one of the greatest horror novels I think ever written. But Dr. Sleep, even though, of course, they're making it into a movie next year, I don't know how that's going to rank as a Stephen King classic in terms of history's 2020 look behind.
Right. Every time
I would agree. I mean, he was good, but it was. I mean, King has been, again, he often said, he's not one for sequels. I mean, I don't think he's done sequels really. And obviously there was a sequel, and it was. I mean, it was okay, but it was. I'm with Stanley on that one. I don't think it was. It's not all there with his best, I don't think. I say no. I mean, The Shining is an absolute classic. I mean, I don't think you could even begin to hope to get close to that. But I think she was left well alone, I think.
Every time we bring up The Shining, I'm always curious what version you like better. Did you like the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining or the miniseries?
Stanley Kubrick's Shining, but kind of like all the wrong reasons. The fact that it was Stanley Kubrick was the main reason that people went to it, but I agree that he's one of the world's greatest filmmakers, but Stephen King was right in his criticisms of how it was cast and miscast. However, when King did his version, you got to remember it was for television, which meant it had to be rated G, and we're talking The Shining here, folks. And I think it was also miscast with TV actors. There was no Jack Nicholson. As bad as he was miscast in Kubrick's The Shining, the main actor whose name escapes me, that's how impressed I was by him, was a TV actor, and the rest of the cast were TV actors. So, neither one is totally without flaw by any stretch.
I have to say, I loved Stanley Kubrick's, of course. That was definitely, the whole feel of that movie was just spooky. It really was, and it was good. But I really enjoyed the TV, the miniseries as well. I really did, and I think it followed the book a little better. You're definitely right about the casting, even with Wendy, Rebecca De Mornay. I love her. I do. I think she's great, but she wasn't Wendy to me. That was not Wendy.
No.
So, yeah, I think that as long as you don't compare the two, you just, okay, they're two separate entities. I think it's, I think they're both good in their own ways. But the TV version, I do think it followed the book a lot better.
Oh, it did. King wrote the teleplay, and he made it that way. He was one of the, executive producers. But again, the fact that it was for network television meant that it was going to be rated G.
Right.
You really can't get the absolute terror that Kubrick was able to do in his film version.
Right. Yeah. What about you, James? Which one did you like? Which one did you enjoy more?
I never actually saw the TV series version. I started to watch. I think you recommended it. I started to watch it. So, and I tried to watch the Kubrick version probably about 6 months ago. I thought, I've not seen that in a long, long time. I just couldn't. It was terrible. I just not even got past the beginning, where Torrance was being interviewed and what have you, and the acting just was so hammy, and you could tell. I mean, I'm no Kubrick, and I've shot movies and what have you, and you could tell that Nicholson, he was doing his lines, and obviously there was no one else in the room, and then they got cut to the other guy, and he was doing his lines. You could tell because there was just something, but that was just so bad.
Yeah,
the whole, and I think with some of the older films, I've got a copy of The Exorcist, and it's obviously that they've jiggled around with it and re whatever they do with it, and the sound is so obviously studio sound. There's a scene at the beginning where the mum and I think the film director she's working with are walking, and it's a long shot. And they're talking, and you can hear them like they're stood right next to you. You know what I mean? Whereas in real life, it would be whatever, but it's just like we'll polish the sound up to death, and it spoiled it for me.
Yeah.
But no, I guess I'd have to sit through the TV miniseries, but I just don't want to. I mean, I
enjoyed
it. Out of everything, I think I would rather read the book again. The book was fantastic.
Yeah,
the book was
definitely.
It's probably one of the early King books that I read. I remember, I think I read the first time I read was Night Shift, and then I read Salem's Lot, then The Stand, and I think The Shining was probably close after that. So one of my favourites. I think Kubrick was overrated. I've seen most of his films, and certainly towards the end of his career, it was just like, what? What is that? I remember watching Eyes Wide Shut, and that was just terrible. I mean, it's funny, it's like 3 hours long. I went going to see it when it came out in the movies, and it was just getting started, and then the end credits came on. It's like, okay. The story was just getting going. It's just getting interesting now. And that was it, the end. And then, brilliant, great. And of course, he's not going to do a sequel because he died shortly after that. But I think it's a little bit overrated. I think they're better directors, but although. Rumours are true. He did a cracking job with the moon landing film, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say, the last time we had you on the show, I don't believe that we did. I don't think we had time, or we didn't do 11 questions with you. But I would love to do them with you now. So, would you do 11 questions with me?
I don't know why it's not 13, but I'll try for 11.
Well,
yeah. And now, 11 questions.
Well, I was going to say real quick that it's not 13 questions, but it actually is 12, and it's a funny story. When we the first year, we had 11 questions, which it took me a year to realize there were only 10 there. There was just it was just gone. There was a number just gone, but it took me a whole year, and so now we have a different set of 11 questions, and there are 12. So I think James just likes to mess with me and see how long it takes me to get it. Yeah. So. Anyway, number one, what is the best or worst movie you ever saw?
Probably the best and worst movie at the same time was Private Lessons, starring Sylvia Kristal, Howard Hessman, and Eric Roberts.
Wow, that would be your best and worst movie? Interesting.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't.
I have heard of it, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Moving swiftly along.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
What was the first grown-up horror novel that you read?
Dracula. I bought it in 1965 with a black and white cover on it, but rode my bike to the next town to buy it in a bookshop, brought it home, started reading it. My mother grabbed it out of my hands, ripped it up, saying, "You're not going to read this trash." And then when she wasn't looking, I went into the change drawer and took out the 50 cents, rode my bike back to the neighboring town, bought another copy of Dracula, and then proceeded to read the rest of it under the covers in the dead of night.
Wow.
I still have that copy in my living room.
You were determined to read that book. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's see. What's your favorite cuss word?
Son of a cunt bitch.
Nice of you. I like that. I like that.
Yes. That's good.
I'm going to use that one tomorrow.
I believe it's Australian, but I'd have to check on that.
Sounds about right, yeah.
What would be the worst way you can imagine yourself dying?
By not being able to die.
Okay.
To be immortal, that would be the worst way to go.
Really? See, I want to live forever. I do. I mean, I don't want to be old, but I want to live forever.
Just stay you are now, live forever. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
You just want to be young and sexy forever.
Yes. I would make it also vampire. Yeah.
Youngish. She's no spring chicken, Stanley, to be honest.
Hey!
What?
Moving right along now. What was your very first pet?
I was a cat. He was named Conan, and his nickname was Conan the Catbarian. That I was hooked on Robert E. Howard at the time.
Cats are great. Who is your biggest influence, either in writing or just in life generally?
Ray Bradbury. I read his October Country when I was a kid, and it was the collection of his stories from Weird Tales that he wrote when he was in his 20s. Changed my life forever. I got to interview Bradbury several times and dedicated several of my books to him. He was an immense role model to me in terms of writing, stories like no one else I'd ever read before.
Awesome. If you were God for a day, what would you do?
Clone myself with Hugh Hefner, I guess.
That's good. Let's see. Who or what, in your opinion, is the crappiest horror or supernatural being?
I don't know. Maybe the Wendigo.
Really? I think he's kind of cool.
Yeah. Never attracted me.
Yeah. The only thing I actually, the only, I guess, instance I ever know of the Wendigo thingy is the Supernatural. There was an episode of Supernatural with a Wendigo. Other than that, I have no idea. So, and I like the show. Maybe that's why I don't mind them. Okay, here's a good one. This one, I don't know, always freaks me out just a tiny little bit. I'm not even sure why. If it were legal to do so, would you eat human flesh?
Right. Probably. I'm not going to say for sure. It depends if it tastes like lobster or if it tastes like chicken.
Oh, my God.
Yeah,
oh, gross. I would not, by the way. I would not.
Where's your sense of adventure, woman?
Yeah, well, I'm not really a meat eater anyway, so maybe that's why.
That could be it.
Yeah. Who is your favorite member of the British royal family?
Ooh. I can't think of her name. The woman who is married before, the one who got married just a few years ago, her sister, the Kate Middleton's sister, Pippa?
Oh, Pippa.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, she just got married herself, I think. Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it this year?
No,
yeah, she's got married. There you go. Pippa.
Good name, though. I like that name.
I do too.
I think it's short for Philippa in sort of upper circles, but not that I travel in upper circles, obviously, being a commoner, a common northerner.
Which is your favorite franchise? Halloween, Friday the 13th, Elm Street, Hellraiser, or Saw?
Aliens.
Okay, not on the list, but I will. Yeah, I'll give you credit for being original there and not picking one of the ones that are up there.
It's funny. I mean, there's a whole debate. There's a whole raft of people. Say Alien was a sci-fi movie, but it wasn't. It was a horror film.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely horror. One of the 10 best horror movies ever made.
Oh, it's one of those. If I come across it on, flicking through the TV, I will sit and watch it, and it is as good now as it was back in 1979. It just hasn't aged at all. It is still a phenomenal film.
Yeah. What is your least favorite part of the writing process?
Well, the inevitable rejection by stupid editors.
Stupid editors.
Yeah.
There's very few, as you guys know, there's very few intelligent editors out there.
That's a good answer. That is a good answer. And this question right here is pretty much just for me, and there is a wrong answer. It's a bonus question.
Yeah, what could it be?
Right. Bonus question. Baseball or stamp collection?
Synchronized swimming?
Fine.
It's probably closer to stamp collecting. Now that's one for stamp collecting now.
It's close to.
We need all the points we can get, really.
I always notice I think I try to lead the guest when I ask this one because I'm like, baseball or stamp collection. I can feel it. Yeah. But it doesn't work. I mean, it doesn't work. They just, they still pick what they're going to pick.
Things, I mean, I was an avid stamp collector as a child. I still have my stamp collection, actually. So, it's something close to my heart, I have to say. Baseball is just, in England, it's just called rounders, and you play it at middle school, and, you hit a ball with the bat and run around a bit. That's it, so.
There's so much more to it. Yeah, and don't mute me.
No, there's not. No. You hit a ball with the bat and run around a bit. That's it. Goodness, I've seen it. I've been to baseball games here. That's what happens.
You will be pleased to know.
Nice hats.
You'll be pleased to know that baseball season is almost over. In fact, my team only has 3 games. We have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday left, and then the Blue Jays won't be playing again until next.
So they've only got three more games to lose before the end of the season, then.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
It's like my son. His high school team. He's in the band, so obviously the band goes to games. And I don't remember the last time they won. I mean, he played for the football team a couple of years ago, and I can't remember them ever winning one. So, and it's not did they win or lose? It's how much did they lose by? And it's like I think the last game they lost by about 3 points. The one before they lost by about 30 points. It kind of varies a bit. It's not did they win. It's how little did they lose by.
Yeah, as awful as my team
the band
is doing.
Does well.
Yeah, as awful as the Blue Jays are doing, I still watch every single game, and no matter. So, go Blue Jays! Woohoo!
Mm-hmm. All right. I've heard of the game. Don't watch it myself.
No, I wanted to say that I want to I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, Stanley, and you have to promise to come back and see us again.
I will be here. I will be sitting by the phone. When you're retired as a writer, all you get to do is read all the books you got to miss while you were writing your own books. So that's what I'm happily doing now.
I don't believe we ever retire, to be honest. It's always there. Either you're reading or you're writing. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Yes, it is.
And tell us real quick where we can.
Fantastic.
I was going to say, tell us real quick where we can find you online, Stanley.
On Facebook as Stanley Wiater, or you can go to my website, which is stanley-wiater.com.
Awesome. And I will get your links put up on our Facebook page. If anybody wants to stalk you, they can go there and do it. And again, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll definitely have you back soon.
Thank you, guys. You guys have been wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, a pleasure as always, Stanley.
All right, continued success, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. And you, sir. Have a good rest of your evening. And
I'm
afraid it is that time, Xtina, when we have to say good night, Xtina.
Good night, Xtina.
I'm feeling mighty lonesome. Haven't slept a wink. I walk the floor and watch the door. In between I drink black coffee. Love's a hand-me-down broom. I'll never know a Sunday in this weekday room. Been talking to the shadows, 1 o'clock till 4. And Lord, how slow the moments go when all you do is pour black coffee. Since the blues caught my eye, I'm hanging out on Monday, my Sunday dreams to dry. You know a man is born to love a woman, to work and slave to pay her debts, just because he's only human, to drown his past regrets in coffee and cigarettes. I'm mooning all the morning all the night. In between it's nicotine, not much heart to fight. Black coffee, feeling low as the ground. I'm waiting for my baby to maybe come around. Gonna drown my past regrets in some coffee and a few cigarettes. I'm mooning all the morning all the night. In between it's nicotine and not much heart to fight. Black coffee, feeling low as the ground. It's driving me crazy just waiting for my baby to maybe come around. Please come around. Please come.